So what would you say to anybody who's either doing it on their own or sort of looking into getting help, needs to take that plunge?
So if you're thinking about having a business coach, and in particular Jeff, who's generally a business coach, first of all, you need to think about whether you're in the right place to do that. So I know that Jeff has different products depending on where you are, where your business is in its journey. So do you need sort of weekly support like I do, or sort of monthly support like sort of more startup companies might have? Are you ready to commit to that journey? Because there's no point starting it if you're not going to do everything that's involved. And are you willing to free up time in your day to work on your business rather than be at the coalface?
Brilliant. Yeah, you've raised some really good points there. Just different things. People watching this, maybe thinking, "Oh my goodness, it worked for Clara. It might not work for me," or what? How will I know it'll work for me? So, just thinking of all the things you've worked on and learned to do with your time and your team and your business. So, of all the things we've worked on, what do you think would be of most value to share with other business owners to help them to grow?
So what do I think is most valuable? I think for me is two things. So one is the planning process we talked about. So Jeff has this fantastic structure around quarterly planning, and the thinking around that is really that you can set 12-month goals, but they're so far in the future that it's very difficult to stay focused on those in the near term. And so Jeff introduced me to the structure of quarterly planning. So thinking just 3 months ahead. And actually, once you sort of disaggregate that and start to think about what your goals within that 3-month period are going to be and how you're going to map those out across the 3-month period, it becomes very sort of easy to then start to work towards those objectives, because it's a short time frame and it feels quite achievable. And by breaking up your goals into sort of very digestible weekly tasks, it actually, from just a mental perspective as well, feels that it's no longer such a sort of insurmountable feat to achieve those goals. So quarterly planning has been something I've fully embraced, and my team are now following that structure as well. And we're really starting to see the benefits of everyone having a very clear focus each quarter. Another area where Jeff is really supported me is just around starting to systemize and make processes much more scalable. So an example of something I've worked on with Jeff in the last few months has been starting to build a more scalable recruitment process for us as a consultancy. And the original objective was really to try and save money from working with recruiters. And Jeff has quite a lot of innovative ideas around different ways in which you can access the job market and access available candidates, particularly around leveraging LinkedIn as a recruitment tool much more efficiently. And so we spent quite a lot of time internally, building these systems and processes. So mapping out, what a recruitment process looks like. How are we going to better screen candidates, and how are we going to be more time efficient as we go through that candidate screening process? And then on top of that, we've also done lots of test and learn. So every time we've created a role within the business and hired someone into that role, we've trialed different options around the process, around the interview process, and also trialed lots of different platforms in terms of accessing candidates. And then through that test and learn approach and through trialing different models, we've come up with a really solid recruitment process that's now incredibly scalable. And it's fantastic to see the results of this process, because now we've moved from sort of us to paying recruiters to go out and seek candidates for us, to actually candidates discovering us through our marketing techniques, through word of mouth, through referrals, and coming to us, as a business and asking to work for us. So that's a huge sort of turn of events, and it's been incredibly, rewarding to see that shift. And also we're hiring fantastic candidates into the business, without having the costs associated with recruitment fees as well. So it just goes to show you that sort of time, that leveraged time invested up front really does have a good benefit. And I've never been able to achieve that without Jeff's advice, but also without, having stepped back and really created the time in my working week to work on that process.
Tell me more about how having that discipline in place, that system in place, what difference does it make to you in terms of your business and in terms of you personally?
Well, in order to take, it takes a lot of the guesswork, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't necessarily want to do or get on top of, right? And it's easy to kick the can down the road. We've all been guilty of it. I probably almost certainly still do it here and there, right? For some of the internal stuff that I need to do for impact, right? But like the default diary, make sure that you sit down, and even if you just sat there at your screen, you just block out that hour, right? Even if you just sit there looking at your screen for an hour, at least you're looking at something that you need to be looking at, right? Like even if it's just an empty spreadsheet with cash flow at the top of it, right? But at least you sat down, and eventually if you keep looking at that blank sheet long enough, you're going to start doing something on it, because it's better to do something on it than just sit there staring at it, right? So what the default diary did, and it's an interesting, that's the one that I came back to, because this is all completely off the cuff, right? It is like, it tees you up for everything else that you need to do and grow in the business, right? Like 100%, like whether it's keeping on top of your KPIs, your cash flow, where you need to do your marketing, your posting, or team reviews, all of this sort of stuff. Like all the stuff that you need to do to build build on the business and focus on the business, your diary is going to make sure that sticks. Otherwise, you're going to, some people are fantastic at organizing and doing all of this sort of stuff. I personally wasn't, not naturally. So this is for me personally. Right. So this is why for me personally, I would say one of the biggest things to me is just get like structure, 100% structure.
Yeah. Businesses, systems and numbers, and people mess it up, and people usually are more prone than others, like you and I. Cool. That's really, really good. And I'm sure anyone out there listening and watching, going, oh yeah, okay, you know, if Rik can do it, I can do it. And that's really powerful. So thank you for that.